Well, here I have a function that accepts two numbers and divides them. And here in the main function, I'm dividing two numbers, storing the result, then printing it. If we try to run the code, it will work fine. But if we change this number to 0 and try to run the code again, we will get an error due to division by 0. To handle cases like this, we use what's called error handling. In Zig, if the function might return an error, we add an exclamation mark before the return type in the function definition. And to specify what the error actually is, we can check the value before dividing. If it's 0, we return a division by 0 error. But it's always better to define errors independently, so they're easier to manage. For example, we can create a constant that holds a list of possible math errors, and then reuse it by writing it before the exclamation mark in the function definition. Now, just by reading the function signature, we already know what errors are possible, so we can handle them accordingly. For example, in the main function, I'll add a catch here, and then I can handle each error individually if I want. But sometimes you don't want to handle the error right there. You just want to pass it up to whoever called this function. For that, Zig gives us try. Try is just a shorthand. If the function returns an error, it immediately returns that same error from the current function. Just one word instead of the whole catch block. And note that the main function must now contain an exclamation mark too, because it internally uses a function that can return an error. Now, if we run the code, it will detect the error and handle it as we instructed. However, I think that's enough for error handling, but there's still some useful information to cover. Firstly, Zig has what's called anyerror. Simply put, when we write an exclamation mark without specifying the possible errors, the Zig compiler will infer them for us. But if we use anyerror, we're literally telling the compiler that this function might return any error in the entire program. And obviously, that's not a good practice. So you shouldn't do that. Also, if we have more than one error set, we can merge them together like this. And that's all for today. In the next episode, I'll explain why I used compile time integer here instead of something like 32 or 64-bit integer. Thanks for watching and see you next time.